Welcome to the Midlife Edit, the podcast for women who are navigating the beautiful, messy, and sometimes sweaty journey of midlife. This isn't about a crisis, it's about an awakening. Join me, your host, Jen Weinstein, as I dive into all the things no one warned us about: hot flashes, brain fog, strength training, hormone balancing, and figuring out who the hell we are now. With a mix of expert insights, real talk, and a little humor, because if we're not laughing, we're crying, right? The Midlife Edit is your go-to space for embracing this season with confidence, strength, and balance. Whether you're trying to lift heavier, sleep better, set stronger boundaries, or just remember why you walked into a room, this podcast is here to remind you: midlife is not the end, it's just an edit, and you get to rewrite it your way. Hit subscribe and let's tackle midlife together, one episode at a time. This is the Midlife Edit. Let's make it a damn good chapter. Hey friends, and welcome back to the Midlife Edit. When I first launched this podcast, I had one big focus in mind: fitness and nutrition for midlife women. I wanted to talk about how we should fuel our bodies, how we move with strength, and how we navigate all the changes that come with this season of life. But here's the thing. As this podcast has grown, I've grown. And so has the conversation. What started as fitness and food has turned into mindset and reinvention, identity, confidence, relationships, and honestly, all the messy, beautiful parts of being a woman in midlife. So, keeping with that spirit, I'm doing a little editing. Same podcast, new look. We're talking new colors, fresh topics, and my personal favorite push right now: Midlife Women Aesthetic. Get rid of that green girl aesthetic. Get rid of the hot girl summers. Let's talk about Midlife Women Aesthetic. It's all about owning this chapter, feeling good, looking good, showing up for yourself, and redefining what that means to thrive at the stage. So today's episode is the perfect kickoff. I'm sitting down with Shannon, owner, Lady Warrior, who's here to help us break down the myths and talk about all the different things through perimenopause and menopause, and show us how to train, fuel, and thrive through all of it. So grab your coffee, your protein shake, or whatever makes you feel like a badass today, and let's dive in. Hey friends, and welcome back to the Midlife Edit. We talk all the time how as women we are super strong and ladies are warriors. So I figured I'd have the Lady Warrior herself, Shannon Johanson, on the podcast. Shannon, welcome to the Midlife Edit.
Thanks for having me. I love it.
Absolutely. So before we get started, you described yourself as someone who starts out quiet at a party, and then you start tearing up the dance floor to 80s and 90s music.
Yes.
As an 80s baby who is in love with 90s music, tell me, what is your go-to dance floor song?
Oh gosh, of course, You Shook Me All Night Long comes on and everyone, gravitates to the dance floor. I think that's a good opener. But then you start to turn in some of the hip hop and the party mixes, and it really kind of escalates from there.
Always fun. I love the 90s music. That's just, I go to it every time.
Yep. It's so much better than the out now.
Yeah, so much better. So for those of you who don't know Shannon, she is the owner of Lady Warrior. So give me a Shannon at a glance. How did you get from where you started to running and creating Lady Warrior?
So Lady Warrior came about just before COVID came into play, and I was running a food blog called The Food Cafe, and also running a separate fitness blog, and it was called The Fitness Food Diva. And I was like, well, I want to separate the two. And so I just came up with Lady Warrior because I feel like women are truly warriors in their own skin at all ages. But I feel like we get even more and more strong in who we are as we get older. And so I really wanted to focus on kind of that persona of women being strong at all ages, but definitely as we get into midlife and beyond. And so it really kind of came about just before COVID, and then COVID hit, and it was a great turn for women to be able to go online and be able to get workouts and nutrition and guidance through the programs that I offer.
So shifting a little bit, but you've been really open about perimenopause. And
Mhm.
as somebody who is going through the thick of it right now, you talked about it being your saving grace. So what, like, share that journey and tell me kind of how that came into play with your health and fitness and your coaching programs and blogs and now Lady Warrior.
So perimenopause was probably, like a lot of women, is not really talked about, right? And so I got married late in life. I had a daughter at 43. And then about 2.5 years later, I started having just crazy symptoms. And we know our bodies, right? I feel I'm a firm believer if we know our own bodies. And so I knew things had changed. I started having crazy heart palpitations, severe anxiety as soon as I would lay down at night, insomnia. Those were my big three symptoms that I severely suffered from. Then throw in, some hot flashes and night sweats in there. Um, but really trying to figure out what was going on with my body was on my radar, because I was like, this is not normal. I shouldn't have to get up at 2 o'clock in the, at night and walk around to calm myself down. I've always been into health and fitness. I've been an athlete all my life. And so being able to strength train and stay in good health really has been my saving grace to counteract the symptoms that I was experiencing. Because I didn't want to go down the road, for me, I didn't want to go down the road of, medications if I didn't have to. If I could figure out a way to do it holistically, that's what I wanted to do. And so, simply by changing the way I approached my workouts, because that what I was doing in the past, it wasn't working anymore. Also changing the way I approached my nutrition, really focusing on protein and getting in fiber, and kind of the nutrient timing about around when I would work out, making sure I got protein in before and after my training. And then really trying to figure out how I can counteract the symptoms of my anxiety and just insomnia at night. And that really came from researching calming adaptogens. And so those are the things that really, really helped me. And those are the things I want women to understand that is possible to do. They may not help, 100%, but they're definitely something that can help, at least at some level.
Absolutely. So as somebody who grew up, in the 80s and 90s, I talk all the time about how back then it was all about cardio and the aerobic workouts and then the 100-calorie packs and low fat everything.
Yeah.
So you said you've been an athlete and kind of in health and fitness most of your life. How has that pivoted for you? Like, when was that turning point where you were like, I mean, was it when you started perimenopause, or was it before that where you started with the proteins and the strength training?
So really, the first pivot I took was after I had my daughter. I got into the intermittent fasting world. And so I would have a really long fast. I would train fasted, and then I would come home in the afternoon, or probably around 12 o'clock. And then I would have my first meal. And I did that for about 6 months. And my husband was like, Shannon, you're losing a lot of muscle. And I didn't pay attention. I was like, because you look at yourself every day, you don't notice it like other people do. Excuse me. And so that was my first pivot in changing what I used to do. And it was a pivot that worked to get my baby weight off. Yeah. But it also did the opposite of what I was wanting, which was causing me to lose muscle. So that's where I took my hard line and my hard pivot to, okay, I need to focus on really getting in protein. I really needed to start understanding the physiology of my body, and what that meant, as a woman getting older. And then add on top of that layer the perimenopause that started to kick in, and then the research on understanding how much muscle mass that we do lose and the bone loss that we can experience as we get older. So it really was kind of an accident by doing the intermittent fasting and losing all this muscle that triggered me to start researching why, and then noticing, what was changing in my body when I did start having perimenopausal symptoms. And then again, researching and figuring out, okay, this is what I need to do to start counteracting that as a woman, to not go down that road of losing my muscle mass anymore.
That's awesome, because I feel like, I mean, I look at my mom and then my mom's mom, and nobody talked about it. Nobody strength trained. We didn't realize, I mean, maybe they did, but nobody talked about the fact that we really need to do this as we're growing older as women. You've said that you wanted women to walk away from a conversation with you thinking, I'm not broken and I'm not crazy. So what do you think the biggest myths or lies that we've been told about perimenopause or menopause? Maybe it wasn't even a lie, but maybe something that, again, an aunt or a mom or a grandmother didn't talk about.
Yeah, I know for me, like, it really to this day, my mom is 82 years old, and she and I have never had the conversation of perimenopause or menopause. I see her now post menopause, and I understand what that means, but we've never had that conversation. I've never even asked her, hey, when did you experience this? And backtracking and thinking, in hindsight, had I known to have asked her, hey, mom, when did you experience this? Or what did you experience? What were your symptoms? And again, to this day, we've never had that conversation. But what I want women to understand is that, it's not something that should not be talked about, right? It's something that I feel like it's becoming a little bit more mainstream. But I want my daughter to know, like, these are things that you can not look forward to, but expect to experience in one shape or another. Because I know, although we all experience different perimenopausal symptoms, they're similar, but we experience them on different levels. And I understand that a lot of women get frustrated, especially with the weight gain. And, it's almost like they feel like they woke up overnight and gained 20 pounds. And we know that doesn't happen, but it feels that way. But I want women to understand also that being able to understand what their bodies are going through, understanding what their bodies need, but also understanding that in order for us to feel better and to make a change in what we may be experiencing, we may have to change some of the things that we've been doing. And I want women to understand that that's okay. The other thing too is I never was truly diagnosed as a perimenopausal woman. I'm 50 years old. So it was me self-diagnosing. I still haven't been diagnosed as that, because every time I go in, I get told my labs look normal. And clearly I know that that's not the case, So it's just being, aware, like we talked about earlier, aware of your body and being an advocate for your own body.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, same. My gynecologist, I had a hysterectomy, and there was nothing said afterwards. Like, oh, you're going to go into perimenopause or menopause. I found a PCP who's been really good, but they test you, and it doesn't matter what your levels are at any time of the day. You can go up and down. So
Right.
I feel that so much. I feel like sometimes I wake up and I feel so bloated and I haven't eaten anything, and that's just, it's crazy, and that makes me feel crazy.
Yeah.
So what is something, so they go to you have a client and they go to the doctor, and the doctor says, oh, all your labs are normal, and they come to you and they're like, Shannon, I just don't know what to do. What would the first thing that you would recommend them doing?
First, I would definitely recommend them starting to make a journal. This is a big thing. I still do it. I do it every day. I get up and go to the gym. I write down how I feel in the morning. I write down if I woke up a million times at night. It's just like my little body diary. That's what I would have them do. And I would have them track that for, a few weeks, just to look and see if there's patterns, or just so they can, visualize, okay, this is how I felt today. And this is how I feel the next day and the next day, and see what's trending. I know a lot of times for me, I can tell like when my cycle's going to start, right? Because right now it's not every 28 days, that's for sure. So I like pay attention to that, and I can tell my symptoms, whether it's achy joints, headaches, stuff like that start to creep up just before I start to have my cycle. But really being able to document the way you feel. And then if that doctor says, hey, you're not perimenopausal, sorry, or they're not listening to you, the next thing is you find somebody who will, because there are people out there who will. And there are people, whether it's male or female, they will take the time. But unfortunately, in today's society, doctors aren't really trained on perimenopause, and they're more so on postmenopause, how to deal with the downfall of bone loss, but they're not there to, they don't know what to do with us. And I want women to understand that there are people out there that do, and we can support each other, and there are things that we can do for ourselves to help ourselves feel better when nobody else is listening.
100%. And that's kind of what I don't want to say preach, but preach right now, because, there aren't a lot of studies out there. Most of the studies that were done way back in the day were on men, and men are obviously not perimenopausal or menopausal. So,
right.
I love that there are people out there like you who are, you make fun of it. Like, you make it fun, almost not make fun of it, but make fun of it a little bit with your TikToks, and we have to laugh at ourselves. If not, we're gonna cry, right? So tell me about your program, the Lady Warrior Menopause program, or your 6-week program that you're offering, and kind of tell me what that's about and what somebody could expect if they signed up for it.
So my 6-week, it's like for menopausal women, postmenopausal women, it's a challenge. It's a 6-week challenge. And I only call it a challenge because, for me, when I put it together, it was like, okay, what can someone commit to for 6 weeks? And maybe just committing to do some type of, it's an exercise program, I should say. It's a strength training program. Maybe someone just has to be able to commit to something for 6 weeks. Doing 3 workouts a week is the challenge in itself, right? Because sometimes it's hard. It's also for women who, are looking to get into strength training, and they haven't been able to do that before, and they don't know where to go. They need that guidance. They need someone to kind of hold their hand and say, hey, this is how you do it. It's for people that have worked out for a really long time, but have plateaued or just are maybe bored with what they are doing. So it's just a challenge where, you challenge yourself to something new, challenging something, that you haven't done before, or just to challenge yourself to do something for X amount of time. So that's what my 6-week challenge is about. It's 3 workouts a week. You get, step-by-step instructions. There's a video. There's strength training, there's cardio involved. And so that's what the 6 weeks is about. There's also nutritional guidance, because that goes hand in hand with me. You can't do one without the other. And then my menopause program is a lot longer. It's more of a kind of built on phases. So it can take you up to 2 years to go through the program. But again, it's a structured program with, nutrition programs from a registered dietitian. You can follow them. You don't have to, but it gives you just kind of a really good resource of how do you balance and have, proteins, carbs, and fats, because so many women shy away from carbohydrates because they think that's necessary. And really, as we get older, we really need to keep our eye on protein and up our protein intake. And not back away from carbohydrates. And there's a lot of education in this menopause program, helping women understand that, carbohydrates aren't bad. We just need to pay attention to where we're getting them from, right? I'm not about restricting. I'm not about elimination diets, because I don't believe in that. But again, I talk about all that inside the menopause program, and provide them a food tracker, a journal, so they can track how they're feeling every day. And then again, there's workouts, and you can choose to either do 3 workouts a week or 5 workouts a week, but they're all there. They take you through every single exercise. They're through a video. You have access to me if you have questions. So it's just a great program and it's really meant for perimenopause and postmenopausal women, because we have to focus on strength training. It's not so much cardio and hours of endurance, right? It's really putting a mind to, okay, how do I strength train? How do I progressively overload? How do I use weights as an external stressor to replace what estrogen was normally doing, which is helping us build muscle? Now I've got to take strength training to help me build muscle because my estrogen is declining. And this is how we do it.
So what if somebody comes to you and says, Shannon, this seems really great, but you know what? I'm too old. It's just too late for me. What would you say to somebody like that?
First of all, I would say you're never too old, which I know is a very generic term, but I believe that, like I said, I have an 81-year-old mom who still strength trains 3 times a week, and she didn't start until she was probably 75.
Stop. Hold on one more time. Repeat that for everybody listening. One more time.
She didn't start until she was 75.
75.
And now she's
That's
81,
amazing.
and she does it 3 times a week.
I love that.
And she has osteoporosis, so it's been the best thing that she can do for herself. And again, when I say, you have to lift heavy weights, heavy is subjective to where we are at, what we are used to, what we are capable of doing. But you're only too old if you tell yourself you're too old. If you're giving yourself that excuse that I'm too old, then you don't want to make a change bad enough, in my opinion, because we can all start somewhere, whether it's body weight, whether it's bands, whether it's just working on getting up and in and out of a chair. Because if we don't use it, we lose it. And that's what our muscle is, right? If we don't use our muscle, we're going to lose it. And as women, gosh dang it, I say it over and over again, we can't afford to lose muscle. So in my mind, if you're saying you're too old, you're giving yourself an out or an excuse not to do something because you truly can.
Love it. Again, everything that I talk about and everything that I'm about. I mean, I've gone through weight loss journeys and now I'm strength training and I am working for my old lady body. I say it all the time. I'm not working to be a bikini model. I'm working to be able to get down on the floor with my grandkids when I have them and play with them and not need assistance getting back up. So you're talking about, you said you give trackers and you mentioned tracking real progress and not just something like the scale. So what are your favorite, some favorite non-scale wins to celebrate?
Definitely just getting up and doing your workout is a great non-scale workout, victory. Somebody who said, hey, I'm new to working out and I actually went in and, I picked up a 5-pound weight. I picked up a 10-pound weight. Those people, it gives confidence, right? So it's just even confidence in who you are is a non-scale victory. Because so many women, we look at ourselves and we just pick ourselves apart. And by being able to go in and lift weights, it gives us that, kind of like, I am woman, hear me roar type feeling, and those are the type of non-scale victories that I never talk about weight. I don't even weigh myself. I know how I feel. I know what I need to do. But that's where I want to help women understand that the scale really is just there for a 2-second moment in time when you're standing on it. It's just a little piece of information. Everything else throughout the day is really your go-to biofeedback on, how you're doing and how you feel. So, putting on a pair of jeans, hey, maybe you put on a pair of jeans that you hadn't in a long time. That's great. But what did you do to get to that point? That's even better.
So if there's a woman listening today and she feels stuck and she's like, okay, she's overwhelmed with all of this. She doesn't know if she wants to start a program. What would one small change that she could make just this week that would start her in the right direction?
Getting up and telling her some type of something that she's grateful for herself. Getting up and saying, you know what, today I'm going to have a good day, or today I'm going to do something that I did not do yesterday. It may not make me feel good, or it may take me out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to do it. And I think positive affirmations, I know they may get, overlooked or sound silly, but I think they're truly important because they play on our psyche. And being able to say, look, I did this today and I wasn't even thinking about it doing it like 2 weeks ago. And hey, you know what? I felt stuck yesterday. Today, I'm not going to feel that way. And I'm going to go do, X, Y, or Z. And I think that's a huge part that can just kind of propel us forward. I know Mel Robbins always says, she's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get up and do it. And I believe that firmly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, make that decision, go do it. And that's what we just need to do. We just need to get up and do things that make us happy, make us feel good, and, stay away from the drama, stay away from the baggage that are, especially in our mind. Stop telling ourselves negative things about ourselves. Start telling ourselves the positive things.
It's so funny you said about Mel Robbins, because the 5-second rule was what got me out of my funk to be able to start, and it was 2.5 years ago, and I've come such a long way, but it's true. We are our toughest critics. We will sit and pick apart, everything. And that's why just post the video, do the thing, we're strong women. Just so off topic from what I was going to talk about, but the way you're talking, and I just want to get your opinion on this. Yeah. I've talked about this before, about how perimenopause is now almost like trendy, and same with protein, right? And a lot of these companies are doing these marketing gimmicks where they'll put protein on a box and say high protein, and then you look and you're like, is this really high protein? Or there's a pill all of a sudden that supports perimenopause. How do you feel about that? And I guess because you have such a holistic approach, what would you tell somebody to not waste their money on and instead put their money into elsewhere, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So I am a huge advocate of, you need to be informed as a consumer in what you're buying. If anything ever says this is going to guarantee you to lose 10, 20, 30 pounds, or this is your quick fix to weight loss and feeling amazing, or this is what you need to take and nothing else, you run. You never buy it. You never try it. I am not a person that goes with, to me, anything that says quick is a short-term fix for a long-term problem. And there are so many things that, yes, marketing, says out there with protein and weight loss, especially when it comes to perimenopausal women, because they know they play on our heartstrings. They know that weight gain is a huge, huge issue. So whatever they can do to say, hey, this is going to drop 10 pounds or 20 pounds, and I feel like women gravitate toward that, and it's just filled with junk, right? It's not doing anything. So if they would spend less time on consuming products and more time on putting the money into themselves, like getting on a good, workout program, understanding what strength training can truly do. Because right now, women in perimenopause, they don't need to shrink. They need to get stronger, period. Because the statistics are out there for women, and osteoporosis and bone loss and falling and fractures. Our life expectancy goes down tremendously if we break a hip. It's just the way it is. So being able to invest in yourself, find a personal trainer, find somebody that you can go work out with, or understand what your body needs in terms of protein, making sure that your protein has leucine, making sure that you have the amino acids that your body needs. And I know those are big words for a lot of people, and are like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to do all that. But you really need to make the time, because those are the things that matter, and those are the things that are important. Taking a pill, if those worked, every woman in America, in the world, would do them, right? But they don't work. And if they do work, it's very temporary. And the sad part is whatever weight you've lost using that product, when you go off that product, what's going to happen? You're going to gain all that weight back because you have no idea how you lost it in the first place. So really getting educated on nutrition and just, fueling your body in a way that's going to allow you to change the way the way you want, but you understand how to do it. If that makes sense.
I love it. Oh, it does. It does, because I just went on a rant yesterday on a video that I posted that this patch or potion or powder or whatever is not the end all be all, and quit wasting your money on things like this.
Yeah.
So I love that so much. So as we wrap up here, if you could leave every woman listening with one mantra or takeaway from this season of life, what would it be?
What do I always say? I always say to women, go out and kick your trash, because if you're not kicking your own trash, someone else might. And I mean that in the way of people are like, oh, that sounds kind of, and I mean that like, no, go out and work hard. Go out and be you. And make the change that you want to see. Don't let somebody else force that upon you. Perimenopause, yeah, it's a beast, but we can overcome it, and there's things that we can do, and that's what I want women to understand, that we are not stuck. We are not, made to just kind of shrink and throw up, be thrown in a corner. We can overcome and we can feel good. So why not go out and just make the best of it, kick our trash, so perimenopause can't.
Love it. Shannon, where can people connect with you or learn more about your program or menopause, or if they're ready for a challenge, where can they find you?
So they can find me at Shannon_Lady Warrior at Instagram, and then at Shannon Lady Warrior on TikTok. And then I have my website, which is ladywarrior.com, and it has the challenge and my menopause program right up there. And then they can always email me at Shannon@ladywarrior.com if they ever have any questions. I'm not one of those people that does not respond.
That's awesome. I love it so much. Shannon, thank you so much. I'm going to link everything in the show notes, so anybody that is looking for you will be able to find it. If you just stick around here for one quick second, we really appreciate you being here on the Midlife Edit.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Another great interview with another great person. I really enjoyed talking to Shannon. She had so many good insights, and she talks about everything that we talk about here on the podcast, right? And I just want to reiterate what she said. Invest in yourself. Stop trying to, and I know if you would follow me on social media, I went off on the MLM rant, and I went off on talking about all these different things where people are preying on us, basically. Preying on us not having enough knowledge about things, and they're going to put protein or perimenopause on the bottle and we're going to buy it. Start with the small things. Start by taking care of yourself, eating better, strength training, and go from there. But honestly, I love having women like this. Lady Warrior is just the perfect name for us right now in this season of life and what we're going through. So I hope you enjoyed the interview. I can't wait to have so many more on the podcast here. And until next time, this is the Midlife Edit. Let's make it a damn good chapter.